Captain James Jax Paul never believed in destiny. He believed in skill, in discipline, in the kind of grit honed over years of impossible missions and brutal battles. Yet now, as he scanned the night sky over his home in Wyoming, he sensed something looming, an unease he hadn't felt since his first deployment. He brushed it off and turned back toward his house, where his son Leo was waiting for him with boundless excitement. Leo was everything to him. At 8 years old, he was full of questions, curiosity, and an undaunted spirit that reminded Jax of himself. Jax had fought through wars in distant worlds, tangled with hostile alien species, and survived missions that should have broken him, all so his son could live a life untouched by violence. Yet, he knew that his legacy as one of the most skilled Delta Force operatives in human history brought its own shadows. Aliens, especially the Zorathians, saw him as a threat, a symbol of humanity's resilience, a reminder of the wars they'd fought and lost against humans. In the soft glow of their living room, Jax tried to shake his lingering sense of dread. Leo tugged at his father's arm, his eyes wide. "Dad, can you tell me about the stars? Are there really aliens up there who are afraid of us?" Jax chuckled, but he couldn't deny the truth. The Zorathians, fierce and calculating, had often crossed paths with human forces, and while they had power, they feared humanity's tenacity. "Some aliens are afraid, buddy," Jax said, ruffling Leo's hair. "They don't understand how we keep fighting, no matter what. They think we're unpredictable." Leo grinned. "I'm glad they're scared of you, Dad." Before Jax could respond, a distant hum filled the air, faint but unmistakable. His instincts kicked in immediately, and he pulled Leo close, scanning the room for anything amiss. The hum grew louder, transforming into a high-pitched whine that seemed to reverberate through the walls. Jax knew that sound. It was Zorathian technology, and they were dangerously close. Suddenly, the windows rattled as a blinding light filled the room. Jax's heart hammered as he shielded Leo, crouching low. But even he, with all his training, couldn't prevent what happened next. In an instant, the light intensified, and before Jax could react, Leo was wrenched from his grasp, lifted by an unseen force into the blinding glow. Jax reached, his fingers brushing against his son's small hand, but the force yanked Leo beyond his reach. The light vanished, leaving only silence. Stunned, Jax stared at the empty space where his son had been just seconds before. Rage and helplessness flooded his veins, nearly overwhelming him. His mind raced. The Zorathians had targeted him before, but this was different. This was a violation of everything he held sacred. He sank to his knees, fists clenched, his breath coming in ragged bursts as he fought to control the surge of emotions. Hours passed, though to Jax, time lost all meaning. Eventually, he forced himself to rise, gathering every shred of discipline he had. He stumbled to his comms, reaching out to his team. The Delta Force wasn't just a group of elite soldiers. They were his brothers, warriors who would face any threat by his side, no questions asked. As he relayed the news, each team member responded with the same intensity of shock and anger. They knew Leo, had seen him grow up, and they understood the code they shared. Protect your own. No matter how far, how dangerous, or how difficult, they would answer this call. This time, it wasn't just a mission. It was retribution. Jax felt a grim determination settle over him as his team confirmed their support. Their shared silence over the comm was louder than any war cry, more chilling than any battle plan. These were men who had seen horrors, and now they'd channel every last ounce of their skill to make the Zorathians pay for what they'd done. Jax took a deep breath, the rawness of his grief settling into something sharper, more focused. He wasn't just going to find his son's killers. He was going to make them fear humanity in ways they hadn't yet imagined. The Zorathians thought they'd broken him. They were wrong. Captain Jax Paul had spent years training his mind to stay sharp, to assess an act with precision in the heat of battle. But this was different. This was rage stripped of reason, a raw need for vengeance against the alien species who had taken his son. Now, as he stood before his team, that same fury simmered under his controlled expression, fueling his every word. Gathered in the dimly lit briefing room were 4 of his closest comrades, the core of his Delta Force team. Sergeant Rook Taylor was a tech specialist, a wiry man with an uncanny ability to hack into any alien system as though it were child's play. Beside him stood Lieutenant Marco Ghost Alvarez, silent and watchful, the team sniper and tracker, whose unflinching gaze reflected a deep bond with Jax. Next was Specialist Zara Edge Sloan, a demolitions expert with nerves of steel and a sharp sense of justice. Finally, Lieutenant Daniel Hawk Hastings, the team's pilot and reconnaissance lead, leaned against the wall, his gaze hard as stone. Jax didn't need a lengthy speech. They'd all seen the footage of Leo's abduction, the lifeless emptiness that had swallowed Jax's home. When Jax's voice finally broke the silence, it was low, brimming with deadly promise. "This isn't an official op," he began, scanning each of their faces. "We're going beyond protocol, off the grid. The Zorathians think they can attack our families, strike at the heart of what we protect, without consequence. They're about to learn how wrong they are." The team exchanged brief glances, a silent confirmation that they were in this together. Rook was the first to speak, his voice laced with grim determination. "I've hacked into Zorathian intel networks and picked up chatter about Leo's abduction. They were ordered by a high-ranking official, someone the Zorathians consider untouchable." "Untouchable?" Edge echoed with a hard smile. "Then he's exactly the target we're looking for." Ghost nodded, his expression fierce. "What's the plan, Caps?" Jax straightened, his focus unbreakable. "We're going to dismantle their chain of command. Targeted strikes on every high-ranking Zorathian involved in this operation, starting with the ones closest to Earth's borders and working our way up to the commander. They won't know where or when we'll hit, but each one of them will understand. Humanity doesn't back down." Hawk unfolded his arms, a glint of anticipation in his eyes. "And transport? I've secured a stealth transport from an old contact in intelligence. We'll be moving under deep cloak to keep this under their radar," Jax replied. "Rook will handle the navigation. Our first stop is a Zorathian outpost on Rylon 3. Intel says it's a major relay station for their communications. If we hit it, we'll set them scrambling." Edge cracked her knuckles, her eyes gleaming with a fierce readiness. "Sounds like the perfect place to start." As they reviewed the tactical details, the tension in the room mounted, each operative internalizing the mission ahead. They knew the risks. A mission like this could easily turn into a one-way trip. But every one of them had seen Jax's pain, felt the bond between him and Leo, and they shared a silent promise to honor the loyalty they had to each other, no matter the cost. Hours later, under cover of night, the team assembled at the rendezvous point, where the cloaked transport awaited them. The air was heavy with anticipation as they loaded their gear, each piece of equipment chosen with deadly purpose. Rook carried a specialized hacking module capable of disabling Zorathian defenses, while Edge checked and rechecked her explosives with meticulous precision. Ghost cradled his sniper rifle, his fingers brushing over the cold metal as if it were an extension of himself. Hawk ran pre-flight diagnostics, ensuring that their journey would remain undetected. As they boarded, Jax turned back for a moment, his gaze fixed on the stars. He could feel Leo's absence like a wound, a hollow ache that deepened with each heartbeat. But with each passing second, his resolve grew sharper, fueled by the need to bring justice to his son's memory. Once inside the transport, Hawk activated the cloaking device and set their course. The interior of the ship was quiet, only the hum of the engines breaking the silence as they slipped through the darkness of space. Jax closed his eyes, replaying the mission plan in his mind. It was clean, tactical, efficient, a series of precise strikes designed to unravel the Zorathian hierarchy from the inside out. Edge, seated across from him, broke the silence. "You good, Cap?" Jax opened his eyes, the fire in them unmistakable. "I'm ready, more than ready." Ghost glanced over, his voice calm but fierce. "They took our family, Jax. They made this personal. Whatever it takes, we'll make them pay." Jax felt a surge of gratitude toward his team. They weren't just soldiers. They were his brothers and sisters in arms, bound not by blood, but by loyalty forged in the crucible of battle. Together, they were unstoppable. As the transport sped toward its destination, Jax felt a grim satisfaction settle over him. The Zorathians believed humanity could be cowed, that a soldier's love for his family was a weakness to exploit. They were about to find out just how wrong they were. Jax clenched his fist, his jaw set in steely determination. They would strike the Zorathians at their core, and when it was over, the aliens would know that humanity's resilience was a force unlike anything they'd ever faced. In that moment, Jax knew there was no turning back. This was more than a mission. This was a reckoning. The transport slipped through the void, cloaked in silence and shadows. Inside, Captain Jax Paul's team prepared for their assault with a grim focus, each member knowing that failure was not an option. Their first target was the Zorathian relay station on Rylon 3, a critical hub in the aliens' communication network and the perfect place to announce their intent. 10 minutes out, Hawk murmured, his eyes fixed on the control panel as the station loomed on the horizon, an intricate lattice of metal and light hanging against the planet's dark side. "Calm silence until we're inside," Jax instructed, his voice a quiet command. "Rook, you're up first. Get us past their defenses." Rook nodded, already immersed in his task. With deft fingers, he manipulated the portable hacking module, rerouting their ship's signal to avoid detection. "Give me 60 seconds," he said, eyes intent on the console. Jax watched as the alien defenses appeared on their screen, a web of digital surveillance. Rook's hands flew over the keys, bypassing one protocol after another with a practiced ease that bordered on artistry. "And we're clear," he finally whispered. Hawk maneuvered the transport smoothly into the docking bay. As the hatch hissed open, Jax's team moved with silent precision, stepping into the belly of the station like shadows merging with the night. The faint hum of Zorathian machinery filled the air, blending with the rhythmic pulses of alien lighting along the walls. Ghost led the way, his rifle poised as he scanned each corridor. "Central control room is 2 levels down," he murmured into the team's private comm. "Looks like minimal guards on this wing." "They're overconfident," Edge muttered, her hand resting on the explosive strapped across her chest. "They won't be for long." They moved swiftly through the metallic corridors, their steps synchronized and soundless. Rook hacked each door as they came upon it, opening paths where there were none, weaving the team deeper into the heart of the station. They reached the control room without incident, but Jax's instincts told him their luck wouldn't hold. As they slipped into the room, an eerie stillness greeted them. Large screens displayed streams of alien data, flashing in alien characters that Rook quickly deciphered. With a nod from Jax, he began uploading a virus to disrupt the station's communications, his face bathed in the blue glow of the terminal. A soft beep announced the virus's launch, and Rook grinned with satisfaction. "Let's give them something to panic about," he said. Jax turned to Ghost and Edge, ready to secure the exits. But before they could move, the doors behind them hissed open, and a squad of Zorathian soldiers stormed in. Their elongated figures were clad in sleek armor, each holding a plasma rifle that glowed ominously in the dim light. "Ambush!" Ghost barked, diving behind a console as plasma bolts seared through the air. Edge reacted in a heartbeat, tossing a smoke grenade that erupted with a hissing cloud, obscuring their position. Jax took cover beside her, his mind racing with tactical options. "We're surrounded," Rook whispered, clutching his weapon as he hunched behind the terminal. Jax assessed their situation, his voice calm and steady. "Edge, set charges near the main entrance. Rook, lock down every door except the one we came through. We're funneling them toward us." With a nod, Edge activated the charges. placing them along the walls while Rook's fingers flew over his device, sealing off the station's exits. The Zorathians, now cut off from escape, began to push forward, their guttural commands echoing through the smoke-filled room. Ghost's rifle fired in quick succession, each shot precise, taking down 3 of the soldiers with deadly accuracy. Jax, moving with practiced agility, flanked the remaining soldiers, dispatching them one by one with a brutal efficiency. The Zorathians, though well-trained, were unprepared for the humans' relentless assault. Suddenly, the room quieted, the last Zorathian soldier collapsing in a heap as the smoke began to clear. Edge glanced at Jax, her eyes fierce. "They'll send reinforcements. We need to finish up here and move." "Agreed," Jax replied, watching Rook's screen flash with completed commands. "How's our virus doing?" Rook grinned. "It's in. They're officially cut off from their central command for the next 72 hours. Then let's make the most of it," Jax said. "Edge, blow the charges. Let's leave them a message they won't forget." With a swift nod, Edge detonated the explosives. The walls shook as a controlled series of blasts ripped through the station, obliterating key equipment and severing power conduits. The once-lit control room plunged into darkness, illuminated only by the dull red glow of emergency lighting. Hawk's voice crackled over the comm. "Transport is prepped and ready, Captain. Let's get you all out of there before this place goes up in smoke." They retraced their path through the station, moving quickly as alarms blared and the sounds of distant reinforcements echoed from below. Ghost held the rear, his sniper rifle trained on any movement, but no one dared follow. By the time they reached the transport, the station was engulfed in chaos, a beacon of destruction in the silent void. As they lifted off, the station shrank behind them, a series of explosions rippling along its structure. Jax watched, his expression unreadable, satisfaction and sorrow mingling within him. This strike had been a message, a warning, a promise of what was to come. The Zorathians now knew. Humanity was striking back. And this was only the beginning. Jax Paul stood at the helm of the transport, eyes fixed on their final destination, a massive Zorathian command ship stationed in orbit over a barren moon. This was it. The end of the line. The being responsible for his son's abduction, Commander Zevra, waited on that ship, flanked by elite guards, fortified by defenses designed to repel entire fleets. But Jax wasn't here with a fleet. He was here with his team, and that was all he needed. "Approaching target," Hawk announced, his voice low but steady. He guided the transport through the ship's vast perimeter, skillfully maneuvering past layers of automated defenses. The cloaking held as Rook bypassed each detection grid with razor-sharp precision. One slip and the entire Zorathian fleet would converge on them. But Jax knew they wouldn't fail. They couldn't. "Rook, what's our best entry point?" Jax asked, his tone laced with the grim determination that had carried them this far. "There's a maintenance hatch on the lower level. We'll be inside the main deck in 5 minutes if we keep quiet," Rook replied, his fingers flying over his console as he mapped out their path. "Once we're in, I can disable their internal sensors for a limited window. After that, we'll need to move fast." Edge checked her charges. Ghost readied his rifle, and the team exchanged silent nods. They were more than prepared. They were driven, united by the weight of vengeance and the bonds they'd forged in blood and battle. Jax led the way, his steps precise and silent as they boarded the command ship. Inside, the sterile corridors of the Zorathian vessel stretched before them, illuminated by an eerie green glow. Rook activated his jamming device, cutting off the security cameras as they moved deeper into the ship. The silence was tense, broken only by the occasional hum of alien machinery. Each step brought them closer to Zevra, and with each step, Jax's resolve hardened. They encountered minimal resistance at first. Low-ranking soldiers who were no match for the team's precision and ruthless efficiency. Ghost Silent's rifle picked off sentries with deadly accuracy, while Edge's blade dispatched any who ventured too close. The Zorathians had no time to react. their cries silenced before they could even register the humans among them. As they neared the command center, Rook's device emitted a warning beep. "Our jamming field is about to expire," he whispered, glancing at Jax. "We'll be exposed from here on out." Jax nodded. "No more hiding, then. Ghost, take point." They entered the main corridor, and suddenly alarms blared, bathing the hallway in crimson light. The Zorathians had discovered their presence. Heavy footsteps echoed down the passage as elite guards armed with plasma rifles poured in, blocking their path. "Edge on my signal," Jax ordered, his eyes steely. Edge pulled a flash grenade from her belt and hurled it down the corridor. The explosion of light blinded the guards, giving Jax and Ghost a window they needed. They advanced with brutal precision, Jax's fists and blade moving in a deadly dance as he tore through the stunned soldiers. Ghost's shots were flawless, each bullet finding its mark. Within moments, the floor was littered with fallen Zorathians, and the team pressed on without a second's hesitation. They reached the command center doors, reinforced and secured with a force field. Rook was on it immediately, his hands steady despite the chaos around them. "This'll take a minute," he murmured, eyes glued to his console. As Rook worked, Jax turned to his team, his voice steady despite the fury simmering beneath. "We're close. Zevra's inside. Remember, this isn't just for Leo. This is for every one of us." We ended here. The force field dropped, and the doors slid open to reveal the vast command center. At its heart stood Commander Zevra, a towering figure clad in ornate armor, her alien eyes cold and calculating as she regarded the humans who dared invade her domain. "So, you are the one they call Jax Paul," she sneered, her voice a guttural hiss. "I thought you'd come crawling to me eventually. You humans are predictable, clinging to your weaknesses." Jax's eyes blazed, but his voice was calm. "You made one mistake, Zevra. You thought love was a weakness." He stepped forward, gripping his blade tightly. "You're about to find out it's the source of our strength." Zevra's guards charged, their weapons primed, but the Delta team met them head-on. Hawk and Rook provided cover fire, as Edge planted charges at strategic points around the room. Ghost bullets whizzed past, taking down guards with unerring precision, each shot a testament to his loyalty and skill. As the battle raged, Jax moved closer to Zevra, his movements relentless, unwavering. She fought back with brutal efficiency, her strikes powerful and precise, but Jax anticipated each one, fueled by a ferocity she couldn't comprehend. He was faster, driven by something beyond training, beyond rage. Every swing, every dodge brought him closer to his goal. Finally, he saw his opening. With a swift, practiced motion, Jax disarmed her, his blade pressed against her throat. She looked at him with defiance, yet fear flickered in her eyes. "This is for Leo," he whispered, and with a final, decisive strike, ended her life. The room fell silent, the weight of the battle dissipating in the quiet that followed. Edge finished setting the charges and looked at Jax. "We need to go, Captain. This place won't hold much longer." Jax took one last look at Zevra's lifeless form, a strange calm settling over him. His son was gone, and nothing would bring Leo back, but justice had been served. He turned to his team, each one of them battered but alive, loyal to the end. They'd done this together, a family forged in fire and bound by unbreakable loyalty. As they raced through the corridors back to their transport, the charges detonated, engulfing the command ship in a blaze that illuminated the void. They boarded the transport just as the Zorathian vessel erupted in a fiery explosion, scattering debris across the stars. In the silence that followed, Jax looked at his team, his expression softened by a mix of exhaustion and gratitude. They had won. Not only revenge, but a reminder to the galaxy that humanity would not be broken, that love and loyalty were forces stronger than any weapon. As they drifted away from the smoldering wreckage, Jax felt a weight lift, replaced by a quiet resolve. He'd carry Leo's memory with him, and he knew his team would do the same. Together, They'd faced the impossible, and together they'd survived.